It was mentioned several times, $193 million is your request, but you don't think you're going to get that much. So, A, why request that much, and B, why not request the moon?
The idea here is to try to find balance. We could request everything and it would be totally unrealistic, and even what we're requesting we know is not capable of being funded. But the idea is to say the legislature needs a reasonable list from which to pick and choose what it wants to fund. And so we can give it an unrealistic list, or we can give it a list to choose from that is more realistic about what we could actually deploy. And so that's what I think we're trying to do here is there's a lot of things here. There's not a lot of money going to be available with the legislature. We understand that. But there are certain things we really have to fund. We want to articulate those as very, very high priorities if we're going to sustain just the status quo, the loss of federal funds going away, the loss of one-time funds for recurring costs. Those have to be replaced, or we're going to have additional program and budget cuts. So we've tried to prioritize it based upon the severity of the need.
I talked with Preston Dorflinger, last week or the week before, and he talked about how, even though we're seeing some rosy scenarios, he's presuming at this point essentially a standstill budget.
Right.
What would that mean for DHS?
Well, a lot depends on how you measure standstill. And just as an example, the legislature was good enough to us last year to only cut us 1 or 2% from their perspective of the base. But because we had so much one-time dollars in our budget for recurring costs, it really translated into about a 7 or 8% cut for us. Even though they only cut us 1% from their perspective, we had so much one-time funds that were going away that the absence of those one-time recurring funds not being there meant a 7 or 8% program cut, plus the loss of the federal funds on top of that 7 or 8%. So we have a similar situation going into 2013 in that we have a lot of one-time funds again funding recurring costs. And so we have to have a very basic amount of increase just to stay even in that kind of a standstill environment. So if we don't get some basic increase just to have a standstill from our current operating levels, then we will see additional cuts for 2013.
I know it'll be the commission's decision. You don't have a vote, but if you got your way and the choice were between hiring more employees to reduce caseloads on workers or increasing the salary of those workers, how do you make that choice? And which would you choose?
My personal preference would be to improve the pay for our staff. We have incredible staff who've done unbelievable amount of work, and they haven't really been fairly paid for it. And I think they're working hard right now. I think they want to keep working hard. It's not about working hard. They're working hard. But I think because they are working hard, we ought to reward them for it. So if I had to choose between the two, I would personally do something about improving the pay for our staff.
Okay, and from a logic standpoint, and I know this is rules that are above you, but does it make sense to be making a budget request now when the Board of Equalization doesn't even meet for its first thing in December, and you're not even talking about this budget starting until July of next year?
Yeah, your point is a very good one, because this budget really won't expire until more than 18 months from now. So this is really looking way down here. This budget will actually expire on June the 30th, 2013, start July 1, 2012. So we're looking quite a ways down the road. And so there's going to be quite a bit of variance from what we think the projection should be today and what really even is the reality, even when this budget year starts. So your point's well taken, but the Office of State Finance, the legislature, they need some time to process what we think it's going to be so they can do their best to balance out all the needs that we have with all the needs that other agencies have also.